Pesto. Hi, welcome to Styling Life with Carissa. Today, you guys, I am getting ready to make some pesto. Y'all just don't know, I've been waiting on this moment for that basil to grow, you guys, and I was able to get enough of basil so that I can go ahead and make the pesto. For those that are not familiar with it, I've never really had pesto. I was the same way until one day somebody told me to try it, and man, it was just so good. So if you've never had pesto, please, think about trying it out, okay? And then for those that have had pesto before and you've never made it, it's so easy, you guys. If you start making your own pesto, you would never turn back and buying pesto from the grocery store, okay? And so the ingredients are very simple, so simple, you guys. And then it's also according to your palate, how you like it. Some people like it a little garlicky, some people like a lot more nuts in them. Some people like, for one of the ingredients for pesto, the classic pesto, let's say that, because there are other different type of varieties of ingredients that you can use for pesto. But then, I was told that it ain't pesto no more unless it's classic pesto from Italy. Okay. All right. So before I get into the video, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, I am using fresh garlic from the garden, you guys, along with fresh basil as well. And so what I've done is that if you're planning on using fresh pesto, fresh basil, make sure you wash your basil really good before you use it, okay? And then I also want to mention this too. If you are a basil lover, if you don't do anything else, if you don't plant anything else if you don't have a garden and you're not even thinking about even planting a garden, but you love pesto, and you want to learn how to make pesto, I suggest that you get a plant, get a basil plant, and just start growing your own basil, okay? You can either get your basil plant from any big box stores like Pike Nursery, Home Depot and Lowe's, those types of places, or any places that sells garden vegetables and plants and stuff like that. You can definitely find basil. Now, sometimes, when the season change, according to where you're located, you're not going to find basil in those Home Depots and Lowe's shops or what have you. You can find it in the grocery store, and you can also plant that basil. Just plant it, and then it'll, of course, grow or what have you. When you get ready to do your preparation, make sure you pick your leaves off the stem as well, okay? So I am using 4 cups of basil. You don't have to use that much. You can just cut it in half. I am using 2 tablespoons of my pine nuts. Now, if you don't want to use pine nuts, you can use other nuts other than pine nuts. But I want to keep it original, all right? I'm using 2 fresh garlic cloves. I am using a half a cup of Parmesan cheese, and I really prefer to use the grated cheese so that it doesn't take too long for the cheese to kind of melt into the to kind of blend together, what have you. So you can use a little shaving Parmesan cheese, but I just prefer to use the really grated up Parmesan cheese, and you can get it anywhere. Okay, you can get it anywhere. I am using virgin oil, organic. I'm not going to turn this out, but I'm using virgin oil, organic, virgin oil rather. I'm using a teaspoon of salt, and that's all the ingredients, you guys. Now, I do want to tell you that when you're making this, it's really according to your taste. You gotta eyeball it. 1 teaspoon of salt may not be enough, so I may add a little bit more salt. A half a cup of virgin oil may not be enough. And so you'll see me probably adding more because I'm looking for a certain consistency in the pesto, okay? And so before you start adding your basil, you want to add your virgin oil first. You want to add this first. Then you want to add your pine nuts. And the reason why we want to add the virgin oil and the pine nuts first is because we want to make sure that it is grounded up into the mixer real well. And then we also add the garlic too. Well, you can either add the garlic after you've grounded up your pine nuts, or you can just add them all. And so I'm just going to go ahead and add the garlic in here too, in the container as well. And then we're just going to go ahead and just blend it up really well, you guys. Just blend it up really good. Now I'm going to blend it. I want to do a pulse instead of just letting it just blend, because that means I have a little bit more control over it. Okay, and then I'm going to add my salt because I just want to go ahead and just have it blended in with this as well. I could have added it all together, but I just didn't. Okay, so the next ingredient I am going to add is the center of attention, and that is the basil. And so I'm just going to put it all into the container. Now, let me also show you as well. I'm using a blender, but I also have a food processor here, which I usually use this, especially if I'm making a small one. I usually use this one, and it is awesome, you guys. And so, in all honesty, this is the first time I've used this blender for the pesto, and the reason why I am using it is because it's a lot in here and a lot of basil. Usually, like I said, it's a small, I'm only doing a pesto for a small amount, but for this situation I'm gonna have to use the large one. Now, if this doesn't cut up as fine as I would like for it to, then I'm going to switch over to this little mini food processor. And so I'm going to blend this up first, and then I'll add my Okay, you guys, this blender is not working for me. I'm going to have to use this food processor. Go back to my old faithful. As I mentioned to you before, I was using the blender because I was putting more not pesto, but I was putting more basil leaves in here than I normally would put in. And so this one right here chops up really well. It has blades on the top and the bottom. I guess that's why you call it a food processor. So I'm just going to switch this on over, you guys, over to Old Faithful. And the leaves are actually kind of went down a little bit, and so that's allowing me to put all of it into this little blender. I'm going to invest in a much larger one. It was chopping up a little bit, but it just wasn't getting it all in the way it needed to. And I needed something to work a little faster. All right, y'all. We're almost back in business. And I guess I should have never tried this using something completely different especially with me trying to show you guys how to make pesto, okay? But it's okay, it's trial and error. But I do know that this pesto gonna be good. I just won't ever try using a blender with one blade, because this one has 2 blades, but it's just not as powerful as this little food processor here. Okay, so I got as much as I could out of that. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just blend this up a little bit first. Kind of get out. See that? Look at that power, y'all. Look at that power. Look at that power, y'all. Look at that. That's what I should have used. This is what I should have used first. And so now I'm going to add my cheese. My Parmesan cheese. Okay? And I will list the ingredients in the description box. And so I'm going to add just a little bit more of the virgin olive oil, because the consistency is a little bit too thick for me. And so I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm not going to do any measuring out. I'm just going to eyeball it. All right, and that's how I want it to look now. It looks good. Okay, so when you Parmesan cheese can be a little salty, and so I put in a teaspoon of salt. However, I can put in probably a little bit more salt in it. It's not salty. It's not salt. It's a little salt in it, but I like a little bit more salt in mine. So I told you for the amount of basil that I use, that I was using 1 teaspoon of salt. And so what I probably do is do another half of teaspoon of salt in this, because the Parmesan, this was a lot of basil, and so the Parmesan is not as salty, but some Parmesan cheese can be salty, okay? So keep that in mind when you're making, when you're using your Parmesan cheese and salt together as well. And so I'll just use a little bit more salt. And so I'm just going to mix it up again, and that'll be it, you guys. All right, y'all, it is ready. It is ready. And so I'm just going to put it in a little small container so you can see the consistency of the pesto. I told you this recipe is very, very, very simple, y'all. Very simple. I'm just going to put... And so what I'm going to do is I have 2 jars over here that I'm going to place the pesto in. Okay. And so let me get a spoon. Y'all, this is so good. Give it a little taste test, okay? Let me let you see the consistency of it. I hope you can see that. You can see that. And so that's how your pesto should look, okay? All right. So the containers that I'm using now, when I was buying pesto, they come in a little jar like this. A lot of times when you buy pesto, it's going to come in a little jar or something similar to this. So I'm a recycle person. I like to recycle stuff. That's just me. And so rather than me going out and buying little jars to put my stuff in, I'm just recycling this jar because I thought it was so cute, you guys. And this is about a 4-ounce jar. It's a 4-ounce jar. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and store it in this jar right here, y'all. Now, I used 4 cups of pesto, so hopefully this will kind of give me a lot. And I usually don't use all of this. I'll mix this. I might use it by itself, just on a maybe 1 serving of pasta or what have you, a small amount. Or I might even mix this with some other pasta sauce, because I just like to kind of blend. That's just how I am. I like to blend other sauces together as well. And so I will store it in the refrigerator, or I will put it in. Because I know I'm going to go through this, the next batch that I make, I am going to store it in the freezer. Yes, you can freeze this, because I put one in the freezer, and I think I had it in there for about 4 or 5 months, and I took it out and it still did very well. It didn't lose its taste or anything, you guys. And so this is, I can get a little bit more into that jar out of this container here. And just put that over here. Ooh, I want all of it out, y'all. I want it all, because it is just so good. Okay, and so I'm just going to taste and see how it. I'm in heaven, y'all. Oh, it feels like heaven. It feels like heaven. Oh, it is so good, y'all. Oh, it is so good. It's nothing like making your own sauce. You know what's in it. You know how to season it the way you want to season it. And this pesto right here, y'all. Man. This doggone pesto is so good. I'm gonna put the ingredients, like I said, in the description box, because y'all got to you gotta try it, okay? And so if you follow the exact ingredients, now the difference that I did, the only thing that I added, the 2 things that I added, okay, I had to eyeball. Again, I had to add some more of the I don't know why I be drawing a blank at times, but I had to add some more olive oil. Okay, I had to add some more olive oil, and I only just added a little bit of it, and then I added a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, so it was I added 1 teaspoon first, and then I added a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and that gave me everything that I needed. Okay, the taste and everything, because this is perfect. Now I don't know, it might be, I don't know, some people may not want to put that much salt in their pesto, and you just want to just leave it at the 1 teaspoon. That is definitely still good, okay, if you don't want to do a lot of salt. But this is not a lot of salt either. It just warms my palate, you guys. It just does something to my palate. It's so good, and the flavoring is just blending so well together. And so when you get this is a 4 cup container, and so I did not press I did not press the basil down, okay? Just make sure you just measure it up to at least 4 cups, okay? If you decide that you don't want to do the full 4 cups, you can just take it and just half in the ingredients, okay? And it's all about what your palate like. If your palate, it's just playing with the recipe in general to get it to what you like, okay? All right, so I am going to end this video, and I hope that you'll try, and let me know if you tried this, the sauce, if you tried the sauce or what have you. It is so good. Look at that. And it came up to a 4 ounce. It did come up to the 4 ounce. Okay? All right. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And also make sure that you use a food processor. I thought I could do it in the blender, but I was wrong. But I went back to my old faithful. This is what I use to grind up a lot of stuff, and I know next time. Okay, all right, I'm going to close this video out. Please put in the comment section, if you tried it. Please do that, because I would love to know if you you tried the recipe or what have you. Okay, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.